Hi, this is Mark with valuecharts.com. We are looking at an interesting chart of the Euro US dollar cross, and basically we're seeing some notable things take place here. The first is that we've now broken the low of last month, which is, I believe, right around the 128.02 level. We can see on this chart barely that our current prices are below the low of October. Now that's notable on a minor scale, but that is noteworthy. The other thing to notice is that we had a bounce off the trend line here, obviously, that was put in place during the month of July. And this market has had a difficult time climbing above the lower end of moderately overvalued. We can see the top yellow bar segments here of September and October. And basically, that shows to me that this market is somewhat in the weaker hands of the buyers. The buyers have not been able to muster the strength to really go beyond that. So with today's break of last month's low and the fact that the Fed has now really essentially announced a lot of bad news for the dollar, tells me that there's a pretty good chance that this market could be heading south. Now, if we do see prices start to pick up on the downside here, then we should at least test the 120 level here in the relatively near future, I would say over the next month or two. And I would expect if that happens that we would definitely see a break of that. So that's what I'm projecting if we do indeed make it down there. Now, the other thing to watch out for is if we do break that level, then this market could almost free fall all the way back down to par very easily and even 90. So we're projecting the possibility of maybe a 40-point move in this currency down all the way to the 90 level if we start to see some increased selling pressure here. Now, I could make a small argument at this time that the weekly charts could be pointing towards a potential cycle low here that could serve as support. But I would say that from a technical perspective, the monthly charts would show a greater propensity for downside action than the weekly charts are showing for upside action. Therefore, that tells me that, at least from a trading perspective, I would be looking at the possibility of selling this market versus buying it. Now, if this whole scenario unfolds, we're going to have plenty of opportunities to identify strategic entry points where value bars or value charts are overvalued or even significantly overvalued, where we can jump in and identify strategic short entry points. But we'll keep on watching this market over the next couple of weeks and months to see if this indeed does take place. Now, one thing to watch for in the next couple of days is we have a big election, obviously, here in the United States tomorrow. We'll see where that ends up taking us. But I think that after the election, we could start to see some movement in a number of different markets here. And the one thing to watch specifically with the Euro US dollar cross would be, how is this market going to behave now that we've broken the low of last month? So are we going to, if we find some support and we really don't start to see some downside energy here in the very near future, then we would have to really kind of cautiously watch this projection that I've discussed here in this video. But if we start to see some increased downside activity here, then this would paint a very, very promising picture for this market retesting support here at the 120 level and then potentially breaking that and going a lot further on the downside. That's all we have for this video. We're going to continue watching this market in the upcoming days and weeks. Otherwise, good luck trading.